Hi everybody and welcome to Knitting with Frogginette. My name is Lisa and this is my knitting podcast. I am a knitwear designer who focuses on baby and children knitwear. So it's been a while since my last podcast, and the reason for that mostly is because January has been just really busy. Lots of sickness with the kids, lots of days spent with the kids at home, meaning that I can't do as much. Recording a podcast takes the back seat. The other reason that it's been a while since my last episode is that I really wanted to show you a finished object, and I really can't. I do have a bunch of works in progress to show you though, and pretty cool ones, I think. But the only finished projects that I have are new designs. Like I said before, I think the new collection that I'm working on is going to be the volume 2 of my Cottage garden collection. And this time, so the volume 1 was really focused more on the world of Beatrix Potter and my own childhood at my grandmother's house in Normandy. Volume 2 is inspired by hobbits. I'm a huge fan of Tolkien, and I'm crazy about the Lord of the Rings and hobbits in particular. I feel a sense of kinship with hobbits because I love gardening, I love knitting, I love being cozy at home, all those things. I love good food. And so I really wanted to come up with some designs that really speak to that. And with still the cottage garden aspect, so it really ties into the whole overarching theme, I think. So now let's get into the works in progress. So the first work in progress that I want to share with you that I've been working on is a shawl. I have never knit myself a shawl. I've knit only 2 shawls in my life. One of them was for my former sister-in-law, and that was Ysolda's, I forget now what the name of that shawl was. I will insert some pictures and find the name and put them on the screen. So yeah, I made that shawl for her. And then the second shawl I made was for my son's kindergarten teacher. And I also cannot remember the name of that shawl. But I will put all the information on the screen and show you pictures. And so I decided that since I'm constantly wearing things around my neck, whether it's inside the house or outside the house, actually I'm not wearing anything today, but that's very unusual. I thought, why am I not knitting shawls? That's so strange. I mean, you'd think that that would be the perfect thing for me. So I decided to tackle a big one, like a kind of, a bit like a blanket type shawl. I don't know if you've seen this meme of Lenny Kravitz walking around with this huge, I guess it looks like a blanket, but it's really like a big scarf and bulky weight. And I just kind of want something like that, like a really big statement piece. And so I've been eyeing this shawl by Stephen West that I think I mentioned this before. I was initially thinking of making it for my brother, and we both weren't sure that it was the right project for him, but I still couldn't get it out of my mind, so I decided to just make it for myself. And I have been really enjoying the pattern, I have to say. Much more than the last Stephen West project that I worked on, which was the shorts that I did for my brother. Those were fine. I mean, the pattern was okay, but it just wasn't the most enjoyable knit. But this one is just the best thing, especially after a day of working, when you just want something relaxing and just fun. It's just great. And also it's engaging because, you really get to kind of at the same time plan out a little bit, like color scheme that you want to do, but mostly it's a little bit going by instinct. You just kind of grab things from your stash and just run with it. And then you know, sometimes, I mean, I have changed my mind here and there and had to rip a little bit, but mostly it's just been a joy. So I want to show you. Let me just get situated. I'm not sure how to hold it to show you, but yeah. So I'll try to take a picture. It will be easier because it's so big. I have a bit of a mohair section here. I held some mohair together with Malabrigo sock, and then this is just a fading marled effect that I did, like a little bit of a rainbow type thing. It was really, really fun to do. And this section, the lace section, is a little more subdued, I guess. And then I just finished this small kind of V-shaped section, and I went for the hot pink again to sort of keep it a little bit consistent with this bit. Yeah. And I also have like this nice sort of acid green, yellow type thing. Yeah, so anyway, I'm super excited to finish it, and I just know that I'm gonna love it. About the pattern, I was pretty impressed with this pattern. I really thought that it was very clearly explained with a few pictures, just enough to make you not have to think too hard. And also there's some links to videos included in the pattern as well to take you to short sort of low-key tutorials where Stephen just kind of walks you through each potentially confusing sections. So if you wanted to, you could just watch those. I just watched one just out of curiosity, but I really didn't need to. It was very straightforward. So that's my big work in progress. I would say I'm probably about 60% done at this point. I just finished section 5. I think there's like 8. I'm not even sure. But yeah, it's been awesome. So the second work in progress that I want to show you is going to be familiar to those of you that have been watching my podcast. It's still that Settler cardigan from the Rowan book Pioneer. And I was really hoping that it would be done by now, but what happened was I just didn't really think and I picked the wrong size for the sleeve. And you know, I don't know if this happens to you, but I was actually knitting the sleeve cuff, and even then I thought to myself, this is really small. Like there's no way this is gonna fit. And I had knit like this much, right? So I could have easily just ripped it out there and then, and instead I just knit the entire sleeve. Like I knit the whole thing and then blocked it and then tried it on my husband, and sure enough it was way too small. So of course, you know, there was nothing I could do. I had to start over with a different size. And so I decided to also tweak the sizing a bit to make sure it's kind of more custom fitted to his particular body type. And yeah, the good thing is the sleeves of this sweater are actually just this ribbing, which is a 4x2 ribbing, I believe. Anyway, so, you know, you start with a 2x2 ribbing and it goes into like a 4x2. And so the sleeve caps, and, you know, I think this should fit. Well, I mean, I know it will fit because I tried it on him. So I made a sleeve and I started on the second sleeve. And, oh wait, no, that's the old sleeve. Anyway, there's a second sleeve somewhere. And it's going pretty quickly, but then I still need to do the hood. There's the hood and the button bands and the pockets. I mean, the pocket hem, or whatever you call it, like the pocket edging. I still need to make that. So, you know, his birthday is in about 3 weeks. So I think it's doable. I mean, it knits up pretty quickly. It's good TV knitting. And I'm using this Debbie Bliss Cashmerino aran. And there you go. Ooh. Anyway, and yeah, it's you know, really pleasant to knit with. I think it's going to be pretty hard wearing, and yeah, I'm still going to be working on this project for a little while longer, but I'm sure that by the next time I release an episode, it will be done. I promise. Oh, I should probably show you, just because it's pretty glorious. I probably showed you last time, but here it is one more time. Isn't this texture just amazing? I can't show you the whole thing, of course, because it's big. But yeah, I'm really happy with the color we picked. That we went for kind of a darker color, so the texture is a little bit more subtle. And I really hope that it fits well, and I hope he wears it. So the next work in progress that I want to show you is this Icelandic sweater that I've been thinking of making for a while now. I basically wanted a sweater that I could wear in the garden this spring. Something, you know, pretty warm and hard wearing, a little bit boxy, comfortable, but still, you know, lovely. And I've been wanting to knit with Icelandic wool for a while too. And so I decided to knit the very well-known Riddari sweater, which is a free pattern that a lot of people have knit. And I was very inspired by one project in particular, and I'll put the name of the Ravelry sort of ID of the person who made it, because I don't want to share her actual photo without her permission. And I just thought that she picked really gorgeous colors. I really love these colors together. And so I just decided to do exactly the same color scheme. I didn't want to think about it too much, especially since, you know, I'm thinking very hard about colors for that Stephen West shawl. And so for this one, I really kind of wanted to just not have to think at all. So I ordered some yarn online, and you know, when you order yarn for colorwork, it's always better, I think, if you can see it in person, because it's really tricky. Sometimes the colors are not exactly what you thought, and you need to be able to see if the contrast is good or not. That's also the reason why I wanted to go with a color scheme that I was sure was going to work. So the main color of the sweater is this kind of orangey color, which I really like, but it's a little bit brighter than I thought it would be for some reason. I don't know how to describe it. It seems very kind of bright orange when I'm knitting it. Like, I thought it would be a little more subdued, but it photographs pretty well. And also, I think I'll wear it anyway. I mean, it's fine. It's just a little bit different than what I thought it would be. So this is what I've done so far. Basically just cast it on. So there's a bit of a rolled hem here, followed by a little ribbing, and then some, like, the first colorwork section. And then it's just a bunch of stockinette in the round for the body. And I'm actually gonna have a few decreases in there because I started with the large size stitch counts, and usually I would do a medium, but it seemed like there wouldn't be a lot of ease around the hips, and you know, because this is gonna be a gardening sweater, I want to be sure that it's roomy and I can move easily in it, and I don't want it to ride up, you know, at all. So yeah, so I started with the large stitch counts, and then I will decrease up to down to the medium. I think that should fit me pretty well around the bust. And yeah, I'm really excited because I have a good friend who's actually just started to knit, and she's like progressing insanely rapidly. And she's making a Riddari as well, and she's sort of my gardening buddy, so it's really fun that we're both making it. It's like a mini knit-along of sorts. And her color scheme is very different from mine. She's going to do basically all gray. She's skipping the color work at the hem and on the sleeves, and she's just going to do a bunch of turquoise type colors around the yoke, and I think it's going to be really gorgeous. So yeah, brace yourselves for a lot of matchy pictures, I think, with my friend. As far as knitting with this yarn, Lettlopi, it's you know, it's a very rustic yarn. It's a little bit scratchy, but that's sort of, I mean, I don't mind that. And in fact, the more I knit, the more I kind of appreciate more rustic yarns. For some reason, like the texture appeals to me a lot more. I'm less drawn to the very soft yarns. And I think that this one also will bloom a bit after blocking, and will probably change as it's being worn over time. And I just appreciate it. Just it's a nice change knitting with this kind of yarn. I'm not really used to it, so it's fun. So overall, you know, this is, with this new year, I've really set a lot of goals for myself, and I've been really thinking that I needed to sort of make it okay for me to knit things that are not work-related things. It used to be that I felt like every waking moment that I was spending on knitting should be spent on potential designs or swatching or anything, you know, things like that. And I want to do things differently this year. I really want to just have fun with it a bit more, and like really do more hand knits for myself and for my family, because it's the typical thing where, you know, how do you say, the guy who makes the shoes, like his kids go bare feet. Like, I just don't have time to make things for myself or for my family, so it ends up that being that we just don't own that many hand knits that we wear on a daily basis, and I think it's really a shame. So yeah, my big resolution this year is this, and I've started kind of with a bang with all these work in progress, and I know a lot of you, every time I post on Instagram that I've cast on for something, ask me, I thought you were a monogamous knitter. And I mean, yeah, I'm actually actively going against my nature. And because, you know, if I just have one project at a time, then that means it's just going to be work projects, one after the other. And also, you know, it's just more fun, I think, to show you a little bit of variety and kind of support other designers and show what other people are doing, even if it's not really the stuff that I would design. I think it's really cool to kind of expand my horizons a little bit. And it's been also fun to see how people work, you know, how they write patterns. It's always interesting to see when people decide to use a different technique than the one I would use, different cast on, different way of explaining something. I think it's good also professionally. It ends up being enriching. So yeah, this is fun. And also this year, another sort of resolution of sorts was to try to just publish more patterns. I mean, I think I need to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm trying to keep my work as stress-free as possible, but I also do think I need to push myself a little more and just come up with more designs. And yeah, so this year I've really stepped it up in terms of organization. I was trying to figure out a good sort of way to visually see the completion of each project, like the stage of completion. And so I've started using an app, I guess, a website called Trello, and I'm sure many of you have heard of it, or maybe you already use it. And I was a little skeptical that I would actually use it, you know, because sometimes these are a little bit like these new and shiny organizational tools, like, you know, bullet journals, whatever, and then you get really excited about it, and then after a few days you just kind of drop the whole thing because you actually have work to do and like don't have time to tweak these things. But I have to say that I got set up really quickly with this thing, Trello, and I send, you know, when I set deadlines for each task, I send it to my Google Calendar. And I can see also my husband's Google Calendar, so I can see, you know, well, I shouldn't put too many of, you know, the really sort of more thinking parts of pattern writing when he's away, because I'm gonna have to take care of the kids a lot more, and I won't be able to focus as much, and I'll be distracted more. And so yeah, it's been really useful to just plan ahead and just make sure that, you know, for example, during gardening season, like, you know, in April, May, things get really crazy in the garden because, you know, all of a sudden you have to plant all your seedlings and stay on top of weeding, and you just like, it's hard to stay on top of it. And so it's useful to sort of keep that in mind and make sure you're not having too many deadlines and things like that at the same time if you can. So yeah, so that's been really positive so far, and I just keep that Trello window open like in a tab, so I'm constantly, you know, checking stuff off, and I like having to-do lists, and it's just nice to have a place to just dump all your thoughts, you know, design ideas, what have you, just into that app, and so I don't have to try to find, you know, bits of paper where I jotted down some stuff or sketches or whatever. I mean, I still have a yearly planner for sort of day-to-day stuff, and I do at the beginning of each week sort of look at my Trello and then sort of jot down the main things I need to get done this week, just to sort of focus myself. It's more of a process I go through, then I don't really need to do it, but I like to do it. I like to write things down. So yeah, I'm happy that I'm feeling a little bit more together and things are a little more organized. And in that calendar, I do have all my personal knitting goals. Like, I try to take them as seriously as I do the work knitting goals. So it's important to me. The next work in progress, that's kind of interesting. I don't know if you remember, I think it was episode 1, I was talking about how maybe I wasn't really a monogamous knitter because, you know, I was finding all these old work in progress and I was going through all of them, and then I said, oh, I know there's like a pair of socks that I started a long time ago, and, you know, I just don't know where they are, like where could they be? And the other day I bought a one of those bed skirts for our bed, because I'm sick of seeing all these bins under the bed that are visible. It's just not very pretty to look at. So as we were installing the bed skirt, I could see what's you know, stored under the bed, and in the middle of the bed there's this bin, and I remembered all of a sudden that there's all this yarn in there that I had kind of forgotten about. And as I was going through the yarn and getting excited because I can use a lot of the fingering weight, you know, bits and pieces from my Marled magic shawl, I saw a little baggie, and in it I found the missing socks. So this is one finished sock. It's kind of finished. It's just like all wrinkled, but it's just a very simple sock. And a very, very soft yarn. I don't even know if I can locate the yarn I used. I have to look for it. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And this is the other sock. And I actually, you know, I did a nice piece of it. So I'm definitely gonna finish it, even though this work in progress, I kid you not, is, I'd say, trying to think back when I started it, I want to say it's like 10 years old. 10 years old because we were still living in California, I think, when I started this. And so, yeah, I think it's worth finishing. And in fact, I was thinking these are a little bit long for me. It's a, you know, kind of a big foot. And I tried them on my husband's feet and they fit really nicely. And he, in fact, seemed to be really into them because they're simple and very soft and cozy. So I think he's gonna be getting 2 things for his birthday if I manage to finish this, as well as the Settler cardigan. Otherwise, this will be for next Christmas because I'm in no rush really to finish it. But I don't even know what pattern I used. I mean, I can remember that there was a printout in the baggie with it for a long time, but I didn't find it. I said I need to look a little further. So yeah, you know, even when you think there's no more works in progress, there still are. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of not really monogamous anymore. Officially, I can say that now. And but it's for the good cause. So this is the end of the episode. It was a bit of a short one, but I wanted to keep you updated on what I'm up to these days. And next time, I think there's going to be a lot more finished objects. So stay tuned and see you next time.